Hey there, welcome to the Hall Pass. This is tonight's show. We're going to talk about my buddy Kyle's episode that he had on Gun Talk Media's First Person Defender, and we're gonna get a little behind the scenes. We're going to talk a little bit of content about what happened uh, inside the show as well. The episode, it's what it's trying to teach and what he learned, and of course, we'll talk more about my role in that at the same time. So, in case you haven't, go ahead and like. I'd appreciate that. And see if you like it. I don't know. And you can subscribe. Do me a favor, subscribe. And after you subscribe, hit that notification bell so you find out and get notified whenever we are going to have a live stream coming up. We do a lot of this kind of thing. We'll talk a lot of guns. We'll talk a lot of self, talk a lot of Second Amendment, and as well as history, politics, cigars, liquor. I don't know. Maybe Kyle can remind me of some more, but I plan on doing some maybe a couple book reviews and so forth as well, plus some reactions and breakdowns of maybe some political footage. Political and historical footage. It's a lot I want to do. We'll see what you folks like and what everyone enjoys. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and bring Kyle in to join us. Hey, Kyle.
Hey.
How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Hey, man. Good. Just to let you know, you didn't have to put your last name in there.
Oh, well.
It's
there,
it's
so
okay.
I suppose.
If you're like me, you hope somebody steals your. Yeah, if you're like me, you hope somebody steals your identity one day. So,
Oh, yeah, they can have
maybe I could start over from scratch.
My life will go
Right.
on pretty much the same regardless,
Right. Exactly. So, anyways, you know what I brought you on for, and we didn't have a whole lot of chance to discuss the structure we're going to do tonight. But the show is, I believe you've already watched your episode, probably a couple times because I know people have talked to you about it. It's about a 15-minute video, so we'll probably watch it in like 5-minute segments, and then we'll break it and talk about it because that's kind of the way the show works. So, just giving it a few minutes here to see if anybody else wants to show up in the stream. We got 3 people, and as you know, I work at a local school, and I got a bunch of kids said they wanted to be on here tonight. I doubt they all will be, but I'm going to give them a couple minutes to get their notifications and get in here. So, what's that?
I'm sure they all have phones and can if they choose to.
Well, but there's a lot of them are on buses going to and fro games. That's what I will today. So,
Got you.
It's maybe they don't have the ability to at the moment. Maybe, yeah. Don't. Not really sure about that. I'm just. A bunch of them said they wanted to and they would, and they ask me every day if I'm going to put a video up tonight. So, anyways, we'll see how that happens. And
very cool.
I told them, I said, I can't bring you on air. I can't bring you on air unless I can talk to parents first, guys. But they're all wanting to get in here and do a collab. They told me they wanted to do collaboration. So, I said, you guys are just going to get me in trouble. That's all you guys want to do. So, anyways. While we're waiting on people to show up, we'll go ahead. I also want to, it's not just a live stream as well, because this will stay up and people will watch it later, and that's great. So we're going to talk to them too, even though they're not physically here at the moment, or I don't know, it wouldn't be physically, ethereally, cyberly, I don't know, whatever that would be, right? Virtually. I guess that's the word, virtually, unless they're not virtually here.
They're not plugged in at the moment.
Yeah. Right. So, let's me and you go ahead and talk. We'll talk a little bit of background. So I want everyone to know Gun Talk Media is a company that does news, reviews. They do training videos. They have TV shows like First Person Defender. They get sponsored, and so that like Ruger comes out with a new gun, and they'll have that gun, and they'll have it broken down on a table, and they'll shoot it, and they'll talk about all kinds of products in the firearms industry and related industries. And they have a lot of great shows, podcasts, all kinds of stuff. So this is not, we have nothing but good to say about Gun Talk Media. Those guys treated us amazing. A good friend of mine and Kyle's, Chris Serino. Those of you that may not know or recognize that name, you may have watched him on Tot, and that was a TV channel. Oh my God, is that Gib? Is that our buddy Gib? Just showed up in the chat there. It says Gib Dog. I don't know. I don't know. I was going to ask him to come on next week because his episode is next week, but he must have found me. I just advertised it on Facebook. He must have. So, yep. He says, "Yep, that's him." Sweet.
Hey,
You've got his number, Kyle. You've got his number just in case he wants to. Text him the link that got you in, and we'll bring Gib in too. What the hell?
real fast before I do that, because I created some difficulties technically with us a minute ago. If I just kind of like swipe away, I'm going to stay in here.
Oh yeah. Oh, I
Okay.
can back if something happens.
All right, pal. Yeah, I'm going
So we'll talk to Gib too.
send the link
Awesome.
to,
Very cool.
I'll send it for a little group chat.
Yeah, one that I sent you. So, anyways, folks, Gun Talk Media is a great. Yeah, he messed it up. So, hey, Kelly, good to see you. But Gun Talk Media is a great company in the firearms industry for information about products, training, all kinds of different issues. So, we highly support them. Those guys were great. And like I said, we have a good buddy named Chris Serino. Chris Serino now works full time with Gun Talk Media. And I had been involved in some training with him previously. That's how Kyle ended up meeting him. That's how we became friends. And so now Chris Serino, the guy that's the host, you'll see in the show, he's a friend of ours. And he mentioned that they needed some participants to, film the show, to be the subjects of each episode. And there's Kyle.
Here I am. I wasn't sure if it'd take me out, buddy, but apparently,
Okay, yeah. I had a good laugh at your expense there for a second. So, anyways, Chris Serino's the host of it. He now does it, and so he put a little word out on Facebook to those of us that are friends. Hey, does anybody want to come down and be a participant? Long story short, me and Kyle were like, hell yeah, and we were getting ready for the trip and all that, and Chris needed a third person, of which we didn't have at the moment. So, is that a dog, Kyle? What was that?
that was me. That was just me
Sound
coughing.
Oh, that sounded like a dog. So, anyways, so Chris asked, for participants. We said, yeah. And then Chris needed a third one. Well, he had a buddy living up in Northern Ohio that was going to be coming down anyway. So Gib, he's in our chat at the moment. Gib said, yeah, he'd do it. And we all contacted and spent the day driving down to New Orleans together, got to know each other really well. Turned out to be another great friend that I'm very happy to meet. Doing this kind of thing, self-defense, firearms world. And this episode, well, no, he just said it came out yesterday. I was going to do my episode review of it next week is what I meant by that. So we'll be talking to Gib about his episode, or I was going to ask him if he'd come on and do it next week. But anyways, tonight is Kyle's episode. My first live stream, I believe I did, was my episode, which was episode 1. And then those of you that haven't seen that, you can go back and see it. But one of the big takeaways is all the years that I played the bad guy for Chris and the training that I participated in had left what we call in the training world training scar. And so I had grown accustomed to as the bad guy, as soon as you get shot in ZXL, see again, as soon as you get shot in any kind of significant way as the bad guy, you go down. The training is for the good guy. So I'm not supposed to play John Wick as the bad guy or Rambo or anything and try to take them down even though they're shooting me. I go down. In my episode, you'll see me. It's not as obvious as I thought it was going to be. What do you think, Kyle? I thought it was going to be really obvious on video.
Yeah, no,
I started to go down.
I put a comment, which I don't know if we'll talk about those. I'm sure we will when we get into my episode. But I put a comment on mine, and part of that, man, was just the credit due.
Hey, Captain Chad.
Was the credit due to the Gun Talk Media staff, man. The editors they have there, the tech team they have working on the stuff. I thought yours turned out great.
Oh yeah, there could have been an angle that made it more obvious. That's true.
It would have made a huge difference. Their film crews, man, their editing team, just them as a whole. It was a really great experience, and they did a really great job of capturing the footage that was to make the episode. But seeing it first person, behind the scenes kind of stuff, they did a great job of really just editing it to make it the content that it should have been. I guess is the best way to sum it up. But
absolutely,
it definitely.
Yeah, those guys are great.
They really are. We
What's that?
talked about it even after your scenario, the first part, and stuff. Just training scars, man, like you mentioned, just how obvious it was for us
Yeah.
behind the scenes to see it. But they did a really good job of editing it to where it made for an episode that you want to watch. It shows some great training,
Right. Right.
And of course they talk about it in the show. So I don't want to drag that out necessarily. And
Yeah,
those guys,
yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So I mean, I was just giving background for people. So yeah, last week I did the review on my episode. This one's Kyle's, and next week, hopefully, I can get Gib on here. I don't know if he's going to join us tonight or not, but in any case, it's a great show, and you'll see it here shortly. So hang with us. I plan on doing approximately 5-minute segments. It's a 15-minute show, and we'll talk about what happened in the episodes. You guys join. Feel free to comment in the chat there and give us lots of feedback and questions or whatever. And we'll hopefully, like I said in my promotion posts, hopefully we'll have some fun, hang out, and maybe learn something at the same time. And to say this episode is brought to you by Sazerac Rock. So what are you partaking in there, Kyle?
Actually, man, that's just some Old Forester. Local.
Old Forester.
Local,
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Beer have it on hand, and it's one of my go-tos. It's a good bourbon
Right.
at a really fair price, man. So it's kind of a go-to.
Me and Kyle, yeah, Sazerac comes out of New Orleans, and
yeah.
So while we were down for this show, we picked this up.
Fantastic.
This is let's see if I can show it here. This is a Piggly Wiggly store pick, which doesn't sound near as prestigious as some of the store picks you hear out of them.
Shout out to Piggly Wiggly.
But basically, for those classes as well. Yeah. So, okay. So Gibbs said trying to get in. It's giving him some issues because he doesn't allow a lot of things access to his phone. So, gotcha. I hear you, Gib. But in any case, this was the store pick. A store pick means, to those of you that don't know, that so basically Sazerac has powers, retailers say you come down and we'll let you choose between 50 different barrels or whatever the number may be, and you pick which barrel you want bottled for only your stores. And so when you see a store pick, that means you're not going to be able, at least theoretically, as long as people are on up, you're not going to be able to get that anywhere else. That specific barrel, that specific mix or blend or whatever the case may be, it's going to be unique to that retailer. So I grabbed that. It's one of America's earliest whiskey companies. It's known as the very first cocktail. It's called a Sazerac after these. Hey, there's Gib. Sazerac after these guys. And, hey, there he is, man. How you doing?
Good. How are you guys? Got to figure out
looking good.
Look, I grew
up
here.
Like the beard, man. Yeah.
I was just about to say the beard's looking good. Yeah. You don't look like a little boy.
Little boy.
How you been?
Good. Very good, man. I loved all of our episodes. I can tell you that. I know you're talking about the whiskey, which you hit me with a little bit of that one night. I don't do the best with that.
Yeah, so more of the behind the scenes stuff, the intro part is all three of us drove down in Gibbs' truck, and we get down there and we stayed with our buddy Chris, who's the host of the show. And so when we weren't filming and dealing with the business, we were hanging out, being friends, drinking and plinking, as I called it. Chris has some amazing property, and we had a good time back with stuff. I was just hanging out and doing a significant amount of drinking, and Chris showing us his new digs, his new stomping grounds down there. So anyways, we had a great time, and that's some of the background information, so that when you see the episode, you'll get a little hint of the backstory, what's going on behind it. Is all of us were hanging out. So let me finish the one part about mine that I wanted to bring up, because I had the training scar of being a bad guy for about 9 years with Faster. Chris, the host, got a little self-ticked at himself. He was kind of complaining at himself for not realizing a training scar could be created by somebody doing that. So he, I think you have some people there in the chat, Kyle, some of your buds, I believe. I don't know if you can see Chris, the chat while you're Pinto Williams. Ooh. Yeah, Pinto said Lodestar Behavioral Health Center rules. So yeah. So anyways, So Chris will tell, yeah. Every time Kyle tries to do something different with his phone other than just look into it, he disappears. But so anyways,
Chris and I talked about this last time.
So Chris was kind of upset
down there.
Man, new to the platform.
Yeah. The training scar part.
Yeah. He because we were talking about editing the episodes, and he he brought it up again. He goes, damn it, man, I still feel really bad about all that. Because it never occurred to anybody that you would just
that's what I mean is,
drop like a rock.
Well, and I don't think it's a training scar in the sense that if it truly happened to me that I would just go. I don't think that, but it was a force on force scenario. It was the same context at which I'm normally the other guy. So for those of you who don't know, I don't want to keep glossing over stuff. Training scars means you do something over and over and over and over while you're training. And if it's a bad thing, you call it a training scar. Well, what I did in training being the bad guy, going down when I get shot, it wasn't bad in that context. But when I'm being the good guy, I'm not supposed to go down. So anyways, that's what that was about. Because I had that training scar, Chris would not allow me. There's cats everywhere all of a sudden. Chris would not allow me to be the bad guy in these episodes. Normally when a contestant or participant, like all three, go down, you have your episode, then you help the bad guy on other episodes. I wasn't allowed to. Chris, Kyle, and Gib here both were allowed to be supporting cast on the other episodes. I just got to stand off. So anyways, it took me about 10 minutes there to say that. Sorry about that. But let's go ahead and pull up the YouTube. There we go. And let me see if this works. Okay.
We're going to get it right.
What the process of this, Tommy? Thing on your intro there that's maybe some GoRuck stuff we can talk about.
Welcome. The first-person defender, where people face to face with unknown attackers.
Drop the gun, sir! Drop the gun! Drop it! Drop the gun! Come out for me!
Is first-person defender.
Kyle's closing up shop. What happens when two unsavory characters bust in?
Force-on-force scenarios use training guns that fire non-lethal projectiles.
I'm from Ohio. Carrying just a crazy place. It's unfortunate.
Green looks good on you, Kyle.
Like I said, I have it.
Thanks, Tom.
I have loved ones in life that I wanted to be able to protect. And, the worst day of my life ever happened. I had the opportunity to have a lot of training, but still today I don't know what to expect. I'm anxious to see what happens. Kyle's in a strong type, so seeing him a little unnerved right now is odd for me. So I can't really predict how he's going to behave in this scenario, but I do think he's going to do a good job. He is a lot like people like me. He wants to do well. Problem with that is sometimes we try so hard to do the best job we can that we can screw stuff up. So I'm hoping that he can relax himself and just do his part. More and more, we're seeing videos with multiple attackers. Now, multiple attackers is more common, and the reason is they derive courage from each other. They're in their courage by having their buddy with them. So Kyle is going to have a difficult time. He's going to have multiple attackers, and the hardest thing is going to be what does he do.
Kyle begins talking to end the day when trouble barges through the door. Is prepared for it.
I want money. What money? I don't. We don't want to hurt you. Okay. But we want money. Okay. And so, hey, we don't want to hurt him. Can I talk? Is it this way? It's that way. It's that way. I want you to watch that. We're gonna get our money. All right. Let's go get it. Hey, I'm not scared.
You messed him up.
He shot me.
That was clean.
And him.
Yeah, it was. He shot me right in the chest, like dead chest.
Index.
And I think I told you, Kyle. They didn't show it in the show, but he shot me a second time when I was down.
Locked the front door. Came to close the garage door here. They busted through. It was real loud, man. I turned around. I've already got a lot of screaming. They wanted money. I was just trying to keep them calm. And like I said, with one. The guy. I did. You're planning. Yeah, man, as much as I could. You know, it's doorway if I had to, maybe. And as I got him to stop, and I said, "Hey, man, hey, just take it easy." You know, I stepped. I got him in the guts somewhere. All right, I talked to the bad guy already. You totally caught him off guard. You caught him off guard. You had great movements. You had great hits from retention. 3 center mass, one in his arm, which shattered his right arm, handed to me. And those are all great hits. This scenario could have gone down a little bit. You. So we're going to talk. All right.
Combining the performance.
Hey, guys. Wait a minute. I think I got frozen here, didn't I?
Yeah, a little bit.
Is anybody still here? Is anybody still here?
Yeah, no, I'm here, man. I don't know if it's been my connection, maybe, or.
Oh, no, no, don't worry about it. It happened to me the other night too. I can't really put a lid on exactly some of the technical issues because I had to go to a phone for a live stream the other night. I couldn't use any of my computers, so who knows?
Wow.
Yeah. So, anyways, those of you that watching it, we got a couple people watching, still hanging out with us, and those that'll watch this later, what you got to say about that part, Kyle, that we didn't already hear you say?
Well, be honest, man. I mean, it was. I've had. I don't know if it's on my end. Some technical. It's kind of choppy.
Oh, okay.
But I have watched the.
Okay. Well, it was the first. Yeah, it was the first segment where they come in. They do the first scenario, and you kick bad guy's booty, and then you kick bad guy number 2 there. That was Gibb, by the way, for everyone that doesn't know. He's the guy that got shot second.
Gibb may have a career he never expanded in as an actor. Like he said there, he was actually moving around, man. As I moved into that room, I got Gibb a second time. He was still moving around a little bit.
Well, and it had you not, I was going to count to 5, and I was going to reanimate. I was going to shoot you in whatever direction you were facing me. I didn't care.
I did not want to get hit. Like they announced, man. So just so everyone knows, I'm sure if they haven't already caught that, it's simunition of sorts. But I did not want to get hit with that shotgun. Gibb talked about that from an episode he was on in a prior season. And we got to play around with it a little bit, kind of behind the scenes there. And it's not something that I wanted to take. Yes. So I saw him moving around, and so I got him a second time, and they edited that out, I'm sure, for obvious and various reasons. Yeah. But, that's just a little more behind the scenes. It was just a great experience. Some great
just
time.
Real quick on your shot on me. I had not seen the camera footage from your helmet cam to see what view you were in. So I thought when you shot me, you were into that second or into the first room with only one doorway. I didn't realize you were shooting through two doorways. That when you made that hit on me, because I wasn't really moving slow, I was moving pretty fast, because I was trying to get an angle on the doorway myself. And as soon as I got at the angle, you shot me already. I had no chance at getting a shot off. But I thought you were in the first room. I didn't realize you were 2 rooms back.
Yeah, that's some Chris Sereno trigger work there, I guess, trigger manipulation.
Yeah, sure.
But it was definitely a rush, man.
So
I
we
guess
got
anything
Kyle.
I want to, I guess, if nothing else, just expand on which Tommy, I know this has kind of been a discussion topic already to some extent anyway, but they don't tell us anything. I mean, you go in there, they say, hey, Chris told me prior to that segment, he said, hey, so you're going to start right here. You're going to pretend to lock this door. You're going to walk through here. You're going to close this door, and that's it. That's what I got.
They did the same with me when I was the bad guy. They just told me, they gave me the shotgun, and then they told me to follow Kevin. And then Kevin gave me a backup gun that not even the camera crew knew I had.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a gun in my waistband too. But we stood at the back door just waiting and waiting and waiting. And right before we were supposed to go in, because Kevin and I were having a normal conversation up to that point, and then all of a sudden Kevin looks at me real serious and goes, this guy fucking owes me money and I got to get paid. I just looked at him and said,
that's the beginning. That's the beginning of the episode we're talking about now when you guys are outside the door, right?
Yeah. When me and Kevin were standing out back, I had no idea what was going on. And just out of nowhere, Kevin looks at me, he goes, this guy owes me money and I got to get paid. And it just clicked. And I was like, we're going to get your money. Don't worry about it. We'll do what we got to do. And when he kicked that door in, I was supposed to just kind of walk in with the shotgun in my hand. I was like pointing the thing. I was ready to kill somebody. He had me so hyped up. So they do a really good job of getting you like, in the feel of it, man. And as a bad guy, you definitely don't know what's coming to you.
Right. It was definitely
as a good guy. As a good guy, I didn't know anything either.
No. It was I believe they do their very best, man, and they do a very good job of making the scenarios for the participants as real as possible. I mean, you know, going into it, sure, there's a camera crew, it's not real ammunition. You're going to be talking to Chris and other folks throughout the process, but when they don't tell you anything like that, man, and it's all stuff that's very, I mean, it's unfortunate, but things like that happen daily all across the world. I mean, so they do a really good job of on both sides, I believe, having the opportunity to. I'm sure we'll talk about that maybe on Gibbs' episode and stuff, but next week. But they do a really good job playing good guy or bad guy of just. Here's what you're doing, and that's it. They tell you nothing else, and things just kind of play out. You never know what's going to happen on either side. So it's a really good training experience.
So what about
for one?
So Kyle, as opposed to the behind the scenes part, tell us about what was going through your mind literally while the scene's happening. I mean, what decisions were you making? Why were you making them? What was going on?
I was pretty worked up, man. I think it was obvious. I know Gibb talked briefly just after. So I know you said about the scene itself, not behind the scenes, but behind the scenes, Gibb and I talked a little bit. He's like, man, you were worked up. And he was not wrong.
Right.
Instantly just clicked, man. So I tried to just remember anything positive about any training that I'd ever had or any information from who I personally believe to be a reputable source that I took, with actual weight behind it. Like, hey, that's good. I need to retain that. I need to practice that. I need to think about that. And they come through the door. So like I said, like Gibb mentioned, and we already talked about it a little bit, man, he was in roll. He had that shotgun, that sawed-off shotgun on me, and we had talked about it prior. I'm like, I don't want to get hit with that. So my first, I had Kevin screaming at me, and I'm just like, hey man, the shotgun, coming over his gun. I was trying to make sure that I at least had an opportunity to try to think versus just getting shot and then taking my money.
Well, I mean, there's really no way for me to describe to people the angle I had and didn't have on being able to watch. Like I said, I wasn't able to be in the shot like Gib got to play bad guy, and I thought when I went down there I was going to get to, but because of my one issue that we had, Chris was like, "No, you are not playing bad guy anymore," and so they had me watching from a weird angle. And so I watched the door break in. I watched the initial, them yelling at you and them starting to march you off. And, they'll see these angles again in the next, two little segments we're going to watch. But there's a little angle where you walk through that door and there was almost no cameras. Almost no eyeballs on you even. And of course,
shot.
yeah, they may not like me mentioning this, but there was a couple cameras that they thought they had up that they didn't. And they got all panicky about it, and that's okay because we can see now that it turned out great. The one angle that they did get was an amazing angle. That was an amazing angle of you drawing, turning, and getting it. So it turned out great. But that's why they're so good, is their standards are pretty high. So
Exactly.
they were pretty upset that they didn't have a couple other camera
angles.
Yeah,
well, they have amazing editors. The guys that edit there really do a good job, man.
Yeah, they did good. So I tell you what, instead of us keep talking here, I'm going to, and I'm learning the tech of all this, so I'm clumsy, but let me see.
The guys split up. What if they stay together and they come through that door and nobody has a gun?
To me and you, Kyle.
I don't know, man. I'm kind of curious what's going on. I didn't know if it was on my end or what was going on.
I think he's having some internet issues.
Well, we'll keep it going for now, I guess. There. How you been, brother?
Good, real good. Hey, I want to tell you something about. I don't know if we even talked about it. So after you shot Kevin on your episode, the first thing I did is, you remember there was a door off to the right of me, a doorway open into that bigger room, right? So when you first shot Kevin, I drove through that doorway with that shotgun pointed at the next doorway, because if you came into that next doorway, I was going to let you have it.
Right.
And that's when I was like, what's going on back there? And then came back around and was running through trying to get an angle on the other door. But I didn't know where those other two doors, because they're offset from each other, I didn't know where they're intersected. And that's where I came through and immediately got shot.
It was good, man. They did a great job with all that too. I was shocked that I was able to get the shot off that I did on you. It was not, but I hugged that doorway, man, trying to find some cover, thinking that I didn't know where you were coming from. You know what I mean? And just so happened, man, as I was pushing through that doorway and slicing around, there it was. But I
Yeah.
was expecting, knowing you had that shotgun, man, knowing you had been on the
Must
show
have been
before.
pushing the pressure wall on that thing, because there's no way you can get a shot off that fast if you weren't on the wall.
Right.
Yeah.
Training, man. I believe that's part of talking about during the show and stuff. And training's a real thing. It's a factor, and it's something that just across the board, I think people don't they don't adhere to enough. That sometimes a standard. It's great. The more armed legal citizens we have, it's a fantastic thing. It's the way that, in my opinion, it's one of the things our country's founded on, and I believe we all kind of agree on that. But
Yeah.
the training, man, just because you have the right to carry doesn't mean you're always gonna have the best judgment or the right answer or know what to do. And not saying that I do either, but I believe the more training we have,
Well, at the very least, making sure you know how to run your gun and keep it running, because there's nothing worse than to sit there with a one-shot hammer in your hand that does you no good, and then you panic. Now you're focused on something that doesn't work, that's sitting in your hand, and you don't know what to do.
right. Agreed, man. Completely agreed. You're back, Tommy. I didn't know. I really thought it was maybe on my end, man. I wasn't sure. You get everything straightened out you need to.
I bet. No. It's not you. I can't tell you enough on your end. I promise.
Okay.
Not on. No, it's this end. It's this end. Here I come. I'm coming back. I think. Yeah, I mean, this is this thing, all the advice.
And he passed away of a heroin. Line melon. So he did.
on.
I think he's locked up again.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, I saw movement.
Is he? Um,
Kyle, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, buddy.
Hey, I'm gonna go grab a power cord from my phone real quick.
Okay, bro.
yeah, it's testing.
1, 2, 3.
Here.
All right.
Okay, here we go.
Those phone plugs in somewhere.
see.
So how's work, Gib, for those watching? They're going to get a chance to talk to you more next week, man. But I know you say really busy. Work busy this time of year, or
Yeah, we usually in the past never really slowed up ever. We always were steady, but the end of this year was a lot of small stuff and just busy jobs where it's just tons of small things on houses. But it looks like next year's gonna fill up better than I thought it would. It kind of seems that way. People aren't really holding back, so we'll see.
it's I know we talked a lot about. I mean, you've been involved in a little bit of everything, man. I kind of got a lot of history there in your lifespan, but I know you do the the contractor thing. You kind of run your own business and do your own thing. And I just didn't know how the weather and stuff maybe it affect you, but we haven't had to talk as much as we were there for a little while. And I assume it's because everyone kind of got back to the monotony of everyday life.
Oh yeah, of everyday life, man. Yeah. Well, I was back down at Chris's for not quite a week, but about a week doing that Build Box show, and then I went and I went ahead of time a little bit, and then kind of helped them get stuff set up on the range out there, and just what I mean. You know how Chris is about having people.
Oh yeah,
know his standards on the range.
There's
a certain way to do things.
It's,
so it was funny as hell because while I was doing some of the stuff, Kevin was helping me, and I'm like, "Hey, man, let me show you a couple things so that Chris doesn't tell you and you just do it." And I showed him how to staple a target because there's a certain staple pattern Chris likes, and I believe in it because it works. And I did a few things like that, and then did that episode of Build Box that I screwed up.
That's gonna make.
Yeah, I haven't watched that yet.
Oh yeah, you watch it, man. I made I'm not even gonna. If you haven't watched it, I won't say anything. Actually, hold on a second. I got something to show you.
Everything good now, Tom?
Is the rifle I built on Build Box.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So very cool.
3-gun rifle. I actually
check that out.
Very first match I shot in, I won the center fire division with it.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was good.
It's a good looking rifle.
Yeah, it runs like a champ now. It ran like shit when I built it on the show.
We good to go, Tommy? Get what you need to figured out.
So, can you hear me?
Yeah,
we can hear you. Yeah,
I can see you moving good now too.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yep,
we can hear you.
Okay, but I'm am I frozen?
No,
nope, you're moving around good now. Yeah.
Okay, great. Because on my screen I'm frozen, so it's kind of weird. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Gotta love
Yeah,
technology.
it's all on my end. Hold on here. I may be able to find another way to skin this cat. Okay.
He's going from.
All right. Okay. Hold on. Good grief. All kinds of issues. So I just unplugged the hell out of everything. I just used my phone. So I don't know what's going on. We won't be able to review the rest of the show because that's what started this. Is when I went back to it the second time, it got a little crazy on me. So I don't really know. I don't really know what to do about it. But for now, we can talk about the show, and hopefully I'll have some technical issues resolved, and maybe give this one a try.
We
and
can talk
go on.
about the second time Kyle shot me.
The second time he shot you. Yeah, it was. Well, that's right. So, we didn't get to go through the show. So what happens next is, I think it was in the middle of Chris explaining something that Kyle could do better, that it got all froze and locked up and everything on us. So Chris explains, basically Kyle didn't do anything bad. So the way that the format of the show is, they try to pick apart something you don't do well and then train you on how to do it better. But Kyle didn't do anything bad. So he just said, well, here's another optional technique you could use. And what was it they called that?
Spread fire.
Spread fire. That's where you, I'm trying to think of how they say it at TDI. A good friend of at least mine and Kyle's, a guy named Forrest Sonnewald, the instructor at Tactical Defense Institute. And he says it's like family dinner, right? When you got multiple bad guys, it's like a family dinner. You give everybody a little bit, and then go back and see if anyone needs seconds. Yeah. So you put a shot in each bad guy, knock them off their feet, knock them out of their OODA loop kind of deal, and then go back and do what's necessary if there's still a threat there. So Chris goes out, demonstrates spread fire. That's the format of the show. He takes a training tip, goes out and shows how to train for that, and then they come back and they alter the scenario a little bit to see. What will happen now that we've taught you that extra little bit and we change the scenario up a little bit. How are you going to react? So you guys were both involved in it. So I'll let you guys say what happened in the part that I can't show right now.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll give you a quick
from
our perspective. It was kind of the same thing for Kevin and I. We ambushed him through the back door by kicking the back door in again, and Kyle's standing there. But in this time, he doesn't give us a chance to get a gun on him.
Right.
Kyle, why don't you tell us what you did?
It's I mean, obviously, so this is where it gets a little more. You have a little more to go on in the show, because the training tip has already been. You get a briefing basically. Hey, this is the technique we want you to try to replicate. So knowing that going into it, obviously I had a mindset of kind of how I wanted to go into to the scenario, knowing I was going to, be performing a spread fire technique. But it's still the adrenaline's pumping, man, because you don't really know how it's going to start. You don't know what they're going to say. There was some behind the scenes humor. It was a great experience with those guys. So we kind of got to play around. With some underlying humor and banter, and kind of incorporate that in. Great. But the spread fire technique, I actually missed a shot, which I didn't know until it was reviewed, and Chris pointed out, because that's what Chris does, and I respect him for it. But he always does it in the Chris Sereno way, But I went through the scenario there and performed a spread fire technique. I actually missed a shot. I did go back and get the second shot on target after transitioning to the other target, and I had actually missed one of those. We talked about that briefly in the episode there, and it's effective, man. I guess it's all about, again, the first thought that runs through your mind when you're caught off guard. So in the first scenario, that was not the first thing that came to mind. I'm familiar with the spread fire technique. I haven't trained or practiced it a lot, or ever been placed in a situation where it was I must do this type situation. But it was definitely effective. I believe I could have used that in the first scenario, and it it may have played in my favor. There's no way of really knowing that, but it was definitely a very good alternative to the decisions I made, which again is what the show is all about. It's about, hey, here's what you did, it worked. Here's what you could have done. It very well could have worked. It's a proven technique. So it was definitely a good training tip, I think, for myself and for the viewers.
Now, Kyle, in your last scenario, a little bit controversial. You said you had to deal with some of it in the comments. You talked to some people.
Yeah, nothing really. I mean, there wasn't any, rebuttal or argument, or at least not in my opinion, any type of, ill intent on either side to pick apart anything.
No. I'm just talking about they busted in the door and were threatening you, and then once they showed guns, you just shot them.
Right. I had gotten the call. I mean, so again, we're talking about Ohio, and there's viewers from all over the country, and hopefully.
Well, I mean, that's mine and your perspective, and Gibbs too.
I can tell you straight out of the gate, if you would have given it another 10 seconds, I would have whipped that gun out of my waistline and I would have started a gunfight, because that's what we're supposed to do.
Exactly.
You did exactly the right thing, 100%. You shouldn't. You don't wait around for somebody showing you a gun that just kicked your door and is making demands of you. And then now showing you a gun. No, it's over with at that point. I'm surprised you only shot me once. I would have shot me more.
Gibbs' trigger finger works a little faster than mine.
Well, I mean, what the average viewer, somebody checking this out or commenting on the original First Person Defender page, what a lot of people don't understand is that concept of action beats reaction. So somebody busts their door down. They verbally express the desire, the intent to do whatever they have to get, their money in this scenario from you. Then they show a gun.
Yeah, they've shown equal force.
Yeah.
Now meet them with equal force. Same requirement.
They've even verbally expressed the desire or the willingness to use it. So action beats reaction. That training, what that teaches you is that at that point, they've got what is it? The law, the legal part, means, intent, and motive, or I forget. Yeah,
means, intent,
ability.
motive.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So they've already showed all three. So what your average person that doesn't train in this doesn't understand is, if they decide to go to guns, they're going to beat you if you're not ahead of them. Yeah. So, anyways, I know when I watched this scenario, when it first came out last week, Kyle, and I watched it, I didn't even realize you went to guns the way you did. Not that it's bad, because I looked at the same thing and I went, well, they bust down the door violently. They're saying you got to give us the money. Then they display guns to you. You're good. I mean, that may be different in different states, but self-defense laws I'm aware of it, as well as the training value, says you got to do what you got to do.
I remember the conversation, man. I after watching it, I explicitly remember it. Like I can visualize talking to Chris afterwards, but even watching it just on footage, he mentions Castle Doctrine in Ohio, but also the questions of, was there a firearm presented? Yes, there was. It was center line carry, and what happens next? Well, I mean, I reacted before they had an opportunity to. I believe that regardless of whether or not someone was making "I'll kill you" or any of those threats, they were refusing to leave private property after they had forced entry and one brandished a firearm.
Right.
So where I currently live, that means I have the right to defend myself. Legal action will take its course, man. I mean, could it have gone badly for me outside of just the action itself of having to take a life? But legally, could it have gone bad? There's always that opportunity, but the alternative is I potentially lose my life. So,
the way it could gone,
I believe from all the angles.
A ZXL. No, I'm not trying to restart. I'm not trying to restart the computer. I'm just going with the phone, and we'll finish up with this. And I'll try to work out my technical issues in between now and the next time. That's why we're just going to talk about it. And we may come back on and watch that episode again, finish it up, if I can figure out what's going on. Listen, I mean, right now I've got people on here that have been sort of helping me out getting the channel up and going lately, so I can give you the inside info. This laptop's 14 years old. I've got the fastest internet that can be purchased where I live. So I don't think it's the speed of my internet or my internet connection. It's the degradation in my technology that I'm trying to run through the internet. That's the problem, I believe. So no, I'm not trying to restart anything. I'm just going to use my phone. So we'll just finish up like this tonight. But I'm not here in a couple minutes. But yeah. So recap on the episode at least. Guys bust in your business, trying to escort you back to the safe. You turned from retention. So the parts that we learned while we were there, guys, was draw from covert draw. So he drew from retention, held it real close to himself. He hid the fact that the guy was behind him with the gun, with his hand on his neck. That gave him all the cover he needed to draw from appendix, which is another problem if you decide to carry in a small of your back, or what we were talking about, 4 o'clock carry or 8 o'clock carry. You're going to have a hard time doing that. So in any case, he got a good covert draw on him, and there wasn't much criticism at all, which is why Chris had to say, "Hey, here's another technique you might have used," and then. All right. Hey, don't know what happened there again, but we're back. So anyways, Chris comes up with the alternate training technique, spread fire. Spread fire meaning, you got multiple attackers. You give each of them one shot at least before you go back and worry about second shots. So you've knocked them off their OODA loop. You've knocked them, they may think nothing's going to happen to them, and all of a sudden they're getting shot. So it's going to change the way they react. So anyways, that's the spread fire. And then Chris goes out there in the show and shows how to practice for that and talks about the technique. Then we come back and we do the scenario again. When they did it again, Gib and the other bad guy bust down the door. How many times did we bust down that door trying to get that right? Like 20?
Oh, and we broke too. Remember, I had to fix the door.
Yeah, because the props kept messing up. Right.
Gibbs are handyman for all sorts of things.
You got to remember, Kevin religiously goes to jiu-jitsu and just beats up people and beat him up, and he has fun doing it.
Yeah.
So when he kicked that door, he kicked as hard as he could, and he literally creased the door. It was
nice.
I can't remember how many takes, man, but it was probably just shy of a dozen. But the other problem we didn't realize till last minute after we kicked the door down several times, the simulation firearm, the CO2 was nearly depleted. So I was able to get a shot off, but the projectile wasn't exiting the barrel. And the firearm wasn't cycling. So once we got that figured out, but we did that same take, them busting the door and me presenting the firearm for the spread fire technique at least 6 or 7 times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was crazy. It was. I was the guy setting the little things to fly around the room up on the door every time. So I was standing there getting the door ready every time as well. So, but anyway, so we did a bunch of takes. At that point, Gib and the other bad guy, Kevin actually works for Gun Talk Media, and they bust in, and basically he wasn't trying to escort him to the back on the second one. They were just keeping their distance and yelling, "Hey, you got to give us the money," kind of thing. And Kyle decided to close the distance a little bit. He was trying to intimidate them back out the door, is what you said, Kyle, and that didn't work. That didn't work. And at that point, they brandished their weapons, and Kyle shot him. And like I said, that's why we were talking about the legal issues. Some people, I know, they commented. Didn't you have some small debates on the original post, Kyle?
Yeah, before I had really responded to anything, just some of the comments made, and again, this is varying with states. I know we all understand that. Tommy, you probably more than most, but they probably believed what they were saying to be true, specifically probably at least for their state. But there was questions of, no one presented a firearm to me. There was no threat to my life.
Right. Right.
Just things that in Ohio, where we are, or where we reside, I guess, not at the time of the filming, but that are not really things that cycle through our mind on a regular basis because we reside in Ohio. So the three things that were presented to me that pushed me to make the decisions I made. Number one, forced entry into private property. Two, I had made several verbal commands before and after presenting a firearm, telling them, hey, leave my property. I don't have any money for you. And then once I had drawn the firearm and closed the distance, one brandished, who was actually Gibb, who couldn't help but showing off his abs on the film, brandished a firearm to me. So at that point, I even said, "You're going to show me a firearm," and then I hesitated. He kind of moved around a little bit. I took a shot. He dropped. I made another.
It's like, you shot
command.
me, dude. You shot me.
Yeah. At that point, I made another verbal command to Kevin, bad guy 2, thinking, "Oh, hey, I just shot his partner in crime. He's gonna flee." He didn't. So at that point, I'm thinking, well, he's waiting for an opportunity to do harm to me. So I made the decision to eliminate that threat as well. Again, it could go different. I'm not saying anything that maybe that I know you guys don't know, and maybe some of the viewers, but given where I live, given the information I do have readily available to me, and given the scenario based on my life experience, I took what actions I believe to be appropriate. It could be different in several states, and it could be different for each individual.
Fubar here is a YouTube friend, and he's saying now, Fubar, you're up in what is it, Wyoming, I believe you said. He says we have a make my day law. They bust down the door, they get lead poisoning, gun or no gun. So
I like that law, Fubar. That's a good law.
Well, yeah, I think the law everywhere that I know gives a little bit more leeway when someone has forcibly entered. I think you tend to get more leeway that way, anyways.
You kick down my door, man. I mean, you're not. You weren't invited in if you're having to forcefully kick open my door.
There's far too many people that believe they know what the criminal is thinking and no clue what's going on the other side of things, because even though most of those scenarios aren't highly choreographed in any way, when you're working with Kevin, because he's probably one of the best bad guys you'll ever find on this planet for
Kevin's,
doing force on.
I can't wait to go back.
Yeah, he's crazy good. So, when we went into this scenario, we had a pretty decent plan of things that he wanted me to do. At a certain point in our argument, I was going to pull the gun if you didn't pull your gun. And then if you did pull your gun, I was to show you my gun, but I was only going to give you so long before I turned it into a gunfight. So people can say you do, you this, that. But had you not done any of those things, you stood a really good chance of getting shot.
Exactly, man.
So you cannot.
Tommy mentioned, action versus reaction.
Exactly.
If I feel threatened in any way, given the stuff we've talked about, I did. Maybe not for my life at any certain one moment, but clearly I was in danger. So I would rather act than react to something that could cause me harm.
Well,
and for all the scenario, I mean, maybe my kids were in the other room. Maybe my
right, yeah, right.
Maybe my fiance was in there, tidying up paperwork before we closed the shop. I mean, there's scenarios, but you never know what real life is going to throw at you. And given the information I had at hand with the laws that I'm familiar with in my area, I believe that was the right thing to do. Again, it could be different for others in their life with their personal, day-to-day stuff and the area they reside. So it's all great training. It's not meant to be a catch-all for, every scenario is going to be the same. There's no way to plan real life tragedy, but it was definitely a good experience for me. I I definitely learned some stuff. You know, I had a great time. Again, not to talk too much about behind the scenes. I know we're trying to stick on topic of the episode itself, but
You're okay.
it was a great experience. I had some really great time with some really great friends. You know, I was able to improve on some things I already knew. I was able to learn some things new about myself and maybe things I need to focus on more based on the scenario that I had no idea I would be placed in. And then just again to touch on the Gun Talk Media Crew, man, like that's having seen. We were there for 3 days filming this stuff. You know, 3 episodes, 3 days. We had some great times in between, but even just seeing it all take place, all the behind the scenes, all the cuts, and then seeing it all come together.
Well,
Man,
and then we also saw the part we haven't mentioned is that facility they were in. That was them just beginning to use it. They had, without going into mega details, they bought that new facility and it's got outdoor ranges. It's a gigantic building, of which we filmed all of our scenarios in their buildings.
Yeah.
So
the effort they have put into that place is phenomenal.
Yeah. And you know, they got, I don't even know the names of all their shows. As a matter of fact, they have a Roku channel you can download. There's an app you can download to watch all their shows. And I'm sure it's on other platforms as well. I don't know all the you can just go on the internet and watch them. YouTube.
I know YouTube, Roku, and then their app as well, available in the App Store for both Android and Apple. Those I know for sure. So
I can tell you that Gun Dealio, that's one of their things. You can find one of their things on guntalk.com. But Gun Dealio, I usually go to that before I buy parts or anything because there's so many discount codes and deals. I picked up a Vortex 1x4 optic, like $350 for 120 bucks. I didn't need it, but I bought it.
Sure.
I got a
for 50% less than you'll find it anywhere else, man. Why wouldn't you buy it?
So off Gun Dealio, I got a plate carrier with 2 level 3 plus plates in it for $260.
Nice.
My
so
setup.
I want to address Fubar's comment here. He asked if we went through shoot, don't shoot. There's no training there. We don't go through drills at all. You go down there to be a participant in the show. Now, all 3 of us have already trained with the guy that hosts it, Chris Serino. I met him through the Faster Saves Lives program. As a matter of fact, I may be doing a live stream tomorrow night. Tomorrow is the 10th year anniversary of the Sandy Hook massacre, and that is the event that gave rise to Buckeye Firearms Foundation creating the Faster Saves Lives program, which is another. I subcontract with them technically, and I'm a member of Buckeye Firearms Foundation. So we train school districts that have chosen to be armed school districts. We train their staff and teachers and so forth. So I've done, Kyle's done, and I'm sure Gibbs done a lot of shoot, no shoot training scenarios and all that. But no, when you start off with your scenario on first person defender, you don't know if it's going to be shoot or no shoot. They're all shoot, no shoot training. Every scenario is a shoot, don't shoot possibility. So in that sense we do, but there's no drills, no training while we're there. It's just we're there as a great entertainment piece for the show. We give them somebody to either make look great or make look sort of silly. And you know, you find your own faults as you go, but no, there's no drills, no training while you're there for the show. They do training, and they do run some schools and stuff down there. Oh, I'm hitting the wrong part. There we go. As a matter of fact, in what was that, September, they had the Ruger class.
Yeah, I taught that.
Yeah, that's also some episodes you can watch. They were sponsored by Ruger. Ruger came out with a new striker fired, and everybody in the class got a gun and a ton of swag to take home with them. And you got to train with Chris Serino and that gang on the. Oh, you went to the class?
I taught it.
You were down there teaching?
I was supposed to be teaching there last week with Rob Latham, but I couldn't make it.
Oh, see, I didn't know any of that. Awesome.
Oh, yeah. I do all the classes I can down there with him.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. Well,
But
yeah, I would definitely like to do more.
There's my Ruger from class right there.
Nice.
So if you took the class, you got your gun.
Right. So they
And
do a
all
lot
the
of
ammo.
They do a lot of training there at Gun Talk, but specifically what we went for didn't include any training.
Yeah.
Anyone who
So-
wants to look that too, sorry, Tommy, if I may,
No.
real fast.
No, you go right ahead.
The range itself is called Gun Ready. I believe they have a separate.
It's Range Ready Media. If you want to find it online.
I'm sorry. Yes, Range Ready. Thank you.
Gotcha.
Yeah. The range has its own separate, kind of
I didn't know that.
social media or website.
Mm-hmm.
But it all is affiliated with Gun Talk Media.
Yep.
But they do all kinds of stuff. Great content. First person defender is only a fraction of what they do. How long they've been around, guys? We talked to them more about the
they've
YouTube
been
stuff.
I can give you a quick history on them. It all starts with Ryan's grandfather, Grits Gresham.
That's right.
Outdoors.
Who is a goddamn outdoor legend. Back in the 70s and 80s, he was the guy that did all the stuff for ESPN, all the sporting shows if it had anything to do with hunting or fishing. Then comes his son, Tom, Ryan's father, and he starts in the kind of the same thing like his father, but they're doing more announcing and things like that. And then he has a radio show that I believe's been on for now. It's probably going on 26 years, and he still does it. Gun Talk Radio, which is one of the shows you can find on their website. It's, in fact, his father, Tom, is probably one of the most addictive guys to listen to when he starts talking about things he really knows about guns, because he's not one of those guys that gives you all the minutia BS trivial bull crap about it. He tells you like the skinny whatever you're trying to find out about it, but he knows a ton about guns, just a ton. And then Ryan got into the business. I don't know Ryan's 100% of Ryan's story other than it's been about 10-12 years he's been doing first person. I know for sure 10 years on first person defender. This is
we're in season 10. That's us.
And they're a little bit behind on it because of the Build Box show that they put out, so that was a lot more work than I think what they anticipated.
Me and Kyle on our episodes to be released, and excuse me.
Bless you.
And we were kind of cursing you and your Build Box, Gib. Got released before we did.
Back, I know.
Yeah, about once a week, I was like, Gib, he's holding the shit up.
They were overwhelmed with it because Build Box originally was going to be a half-hour show, and they said it was like watching gun building on crack cocaine, so they made it an hour-long show.
Yeah. So now, what episode of Build Box are you?
I'm on the second episode, Homegrown Build.
So do you want to give the people still watching us right now, do you want, or even see us later, what's a basic breakdown of what Build Box is?
So if you've ever seen Forged in Fire, the reality show based around building knives, this is a concept very similar to that, based around building guns. They've done ARs, they've done Glock pistols, like your 80% Glocks, and build those. Most of the episodes are based around ARs, but what they do is at the very beginning of the show, the contestants go out, you guys do a little shoot off, and there's 2 advantages to be won in the shoot off, and then you kind of go in. It's it's made to look like it happens over one day, which it pretty much does, other than little stuff happening over a 2-day period, but the build itself happens over one day. And they give you 3 hours to, they present you with, like for my episode, they presented us with a rifle in a box that was a brand new rifle. And then they, take cover off thing and say, hey, you shot a shotgun, you shot a pistol, but the only thing missing is a rifle for a 3-gun. And they wanted us to build 3-gun rifles off of a stock rifle.
Okay. So that was a modified deal then.
Yeah, so they give you a box of parts that literally has like 5 guns worth of parts in it. I mean, the amount of stuff that's in there is absolutely ridiculous, dude. It took a major amount of time just to go through the stuff to make sure I wasn't missing something that I might want. I picked my barrel in a heartbeat because I saw the barrel I already owned sitting in there that I like a lot, and I was like, boom, rip that out. But so one of the the advantages they give you, one is where you can throw a penalty at somebody else, which may or may not be a penalty. It's either like they have to put a mask on, or like for me, they threw the flag at me because I was moving along pretty good, and I had to run out to the back. Now imagine this: the front of the building, all the way to the berm of the range, and then do it twice because they have a camera guy running behind you and they don't want him in the shot. So you got to run out there twice and then shoot pop cans and shaving cream cans at 30 and 35 feet for your challenge, and then run the hell back in. You can't go back in until you kill them all or run out of ammo.
Fun.
The other one is you get so I won one of the challenges. So what I got was a card, and I got to use that to have somebody help me. So basically, you do all that. You get to test
Could
by.
you choose Chris?
Pardon?
Could you choose Chris? Did you choose Chris?
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, man. Because I was doing something on a gun that I had done with him before, and we had
Right.
made it work really well. And I'm like, we need to do this again together because my 3-gun rifle that him and I built 2 years ago is probably the nicest rifle I've ever owned and or shot as an AR platform. It is ridiculous. Not just the way it shoots, but the way it functions. When people mess with it, they're like, "Oh wow, what's that?"
Not
But
Sure.
it's got the best of the best of everything in there, and we did a lot of honing out the interior and really getting it lapped in and made really nice. So it's a good gun. But we just sat in his basement drinking, doing that, over a night.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine.
What- Is there another way to do that?
Yeah, I don't know, man. But on the show, they give you 3 hours to build it. They give you like 5 rounds of ammo to test with. And if you take your time and don't overthink the whole thing, you'll do just fine. That's, you can watch it and see what I did.
Yeah, I'll have to. I was kind of waiting.
Honestly, I've been watching all the episodes. It's an awesome show. I love the show. Like I would have watched it whether I was on it or not. 100%.
I'll have to check it out. We
Yeah.
can we can have you on for. I'll have to look if it's an hour-long show. We definitely won't be doing a breakdown review
Yeah.
like I was planned tonight. But we could do pieces of it.
Yeah.
I'll look it up.
Half hour one night, then the following week is the second episode's how they run.
Also, so it's 2 episodes.
Yeah, 2 episodes.
Oh.
Adam Copley was on. He did a pistol caliber carbine episode that comes on after mine, and he was actually on with a girl, Ursula Williams, who's a 3-gunner.
Yeah.
Shot with in some matches out west, and then a few other people. I don't know. I don't know if you guys ever met Lori Blackwell. She came to a few of Chris's classes, but she was on there too. Good
Fubar, I tell you, our motto is ATF should be a store, not a government agency. So
yeah.
As a matter of fact, we're talking about the guns, and I'm drinking whiskey and smoking a cigar right now. So ATF was made into one government agency for a reason, I guess.
Yeah. Well, you can have it.
No, these are honestly, these are very, very safe people. When we sit down and we do stuff like that and we're drinking, there's no ammo. There's no ammo around. These are pros we're talking about. And we're not talking about like around here in Larry County where, it would be Billy Bob with a case of ammo testing in his living room or something. So but I get your point. Point well taken. What's that?
It is always funny when the guy with the gun goes like, and it goes off on him though.
It makes great YouTube material.
It does.
It does. Absolutely does. Just as a disclaimer, I've been teaching for 11, 12 years now. Thousands
12.
of students. Yeah, thousands of students. Not one accident of any, and I'm not superstitious, so I don't mind saying it. Not one accident of any kind. Well, if you want to call slide bite, when a little old lady wants to stick her thumb back there when you tell her not to, and before you can stop her, she does it anyways. Slide bite. But other than that, no accidents whatsoever. No accidental discharges. It's all about just sticking to the rules of safety, and you can do that even if you're having a drink or two. So, and personally, I don't think people do anything drunk that they didn't already want to do sober. So I don't really believe in someone getting upset and then all of a sudden they're going to shoot and kill me either. So just because they're drinking, if I think they have any inkling of killing me, I wouldn't be around them at all. So, but anyways, that's a great topic for a whole other show right there. Is alcohol?
I said we do that next week, Tommy.
Yeah.
Just drinking and plinking, drinking and plinking.
Plinking.
Well, hey guys, this did not go as planned at all, but I really enjoyed. Great seeing Gib again, and I'll try to fix my. I tell you, I think I know some of the problem. I think I began to discover it in the middle of the show, and so I'll maybe do you can do private streams, so I may even ask some you guys or some others to get up and do some test streams with me and see if I can figure out my technical issues.
Yeah, sure, man. Tommy, you and I are close enough, man. If it's for ease of the show in the future, as long as we plan it out, man, I can come up. We can sit together and do this kind of stuff.
I think that would be great to do. Oh, by the way, we got some great comments all of a sudden here, right when I thought we were kind of done. The Bruin decision of SCOTUS is destroying the BATFE at a little at a time. Absolutely, and this is something I'll probably do a show on eventually, but. The NYSERPA v. Bruin case, for those of you that are paying attention and don't know, and I think probably everybody that's in here does know, but for those that don't, my wheelhouse in the gun world is actually constitutional law. And that's like the reason Chris didn't ask me to be on the Build a Box show is he knows that I need help cleaning a gun. So I operate them fairly decent. I can teach people how to operate them well. But if you want me to work on it, I just say talk to Kyle. That's I don't deal with that well. So my area really is, the law and history and so forth. So just a quick rundown for those watching and those that will watch later. The Bruin decision was written by Clarence Thomas and is one of the most brilliant decisions we've had on the side of liberty and the Bill of Rights and so forth in a long time. One of the phrases he gets rid of, there's this tiers of scrutiny test that the courts have been using now for quite some time. And I've heard about that, Fubar, but I haven't actually experienced it. So, but anyways, Thomas's decision, basically what he said is this tiers of scrutiny thing, this two-pronged test that had been set up to determine whether or not a anti-Second Amendment law was constitutional or not. He said that's one prong too many. In other words, there's only one thing to consider, and he spelled it out in the decision. And here's my paraphrasing of what he said. If the founders didn't already decide that was a problem in 1791 when this got ratified, then therefore it's not a problem, and you're going to have to amend the Constitution to change it. So now what you've got happening, especially in California, Washington, Oregon, and upstate New York, man, there are some great decisions coming out of New York because the judges are saying, hey, according to the new ruling, NYSERPA, if you can't find an analog, which means something analogous that was very similar to the exact same thing you're trying to say in 1791, then you can't make that law. So, for instance, New York was trying to say you had to pass some sort of morality test. We had to look at you as a person and look at your social media and all these things to decide if we're going to allow you to have a concealed carry license. And after the NYSERPA decision, a judge named Sinatra in upstate New York was basically saying there's no historical precedent at the time of that the Second Amendment was ratified by the states. There is nothing in the country that was doing that. Therefore, it's unconstitutional. If you're going to let one person have a CCW, then you set your standard and you got to let everyone that meets the standard. So in other words, they were forced to go from a may issue state to a shall issue state based on NYSERPA. But that's just one. So it's like Fubar was saying, there is tons of decisions going in the Second Amendment favor going on right now all over the country. And you got legislatures all over the country meeting and saying, okay, according to this new ruling, we're going to change our laws because we know as soon as this is challenged, we're going to lose. So we're seeing more, in my opinion, we're seeing more movement towards liberty because of the Second Amendment, because this logic is going to spread throughout other decisions. And that's why, by the way, Congress just did their Defense of Marriage, or whatever they called this new act, where they made interracial marriage legal as if it was illegal. is Justice Thomas, in his decision, said all of our previous decisions that use these 3 tiers of scrutiny test, we need to relook at all of them. So that then all the leftists went, oh my God, they're going to relook at shoot, I can't think of the name of the case. Loving. The Loving case was the Supreme Court case that made prohibiting interracial marriage illegal. So that used the 3-prong test, and they're like, oh my God, they're going to relook at that and make interracial marriage illegal. And the same thing with gay marriage. And it wasn't going to happen, but that's why they acted like they had to. So Clarence Thomas has now laid down the law on determining the constitutionality of the most basic Bill of Rights, and saying the founders already. So basically what he said was, all these tiers of scrutiny and all this decision making and testing that we want to do as judges, it's not legit because the founders already did that. That's what he said. And it's a brilliant decision, and it's going to have repercussions in things other than the Second Amendment. But so that's what they were mentioning there with the Bruin decision in the comments. And so ZXL saying, follow Armed Scholar, USCCA, Guns and Gadgets, Armed Attorneys, Texas, and more. Gun Owners of America's a beast. Yeah. Gun Owners of America, they show up to a lot. Like, they were at the Gun Rights Policy Conference with us a couple months ago when I was down at the Gun Rights Policy Conference. So there's also one, ZXL, that you need to check out called 4 Boxes Diner. And that's a constitutional attorney that gives updates almost every day on court cases going on around the country regarding the Second Amendment. So hold on here. I got to figure out my tech. There we go. I think we lost Kyle. He heard Constitution and ran or something. I'm not sure. But anyways, yeah, so we got some great stuff going on. The ATF is being slowly dismantled, at least in a way. And of course, if you know anything, if you've followed politics very long, or if you study enough history, you'll know that it's never going to go away. If they lose on one front, they'll try on a different front. They never stop. There's something about humanity. That can't stand freedom. And I quoted this to, there's an Instagram page called History in Heels. And it's a very attractive historian that she runs she runs the Cody Museum up in Wyoming, or did. She's not there anymore. I think she just left recently. But she's a historian, and she's very enjoyable to interact with and watch her videos. And but she's doing great stuff in terms of, because now, based on the Thomas decision, history matters more in the determining of laws than they ever have before. So anyways, a lot of great stuff going on with the Second Amendment, and that's just part of it. But met her at the Gun Rights Policy Conference as well, and was just telling her earlier this evening, we were chatting on Instagram, and I told her a quote from the movie 13 Days, which is about the Cuban Missile Crisis. And I believe it's RFK says in the movie. So I don't know if he actually said it or not, but he says it in the movie. And he says, what is it about freedom that just pisses the rest of the world off? Right? Well, now it's home. It's freedom really pisses a lot of Americans off. And so it doesn't matter how many Supreme Court decisions we have on our side, how much advancement we make back towards liberty over the next years or decades, they're going to keep fighting to take it back. That's just humanity. It happens all through human history, and it ain't going to stop. And that's why you've got those bumper stickers and quotes from our founders. The price of liberty is eternal vigilance. It never ends. This is not a battle. The clock doesn't run out. There is no surrender. There is no we're over. It's always. So we may be winning, but we just got to keep on doing it. And I ain't tired of it yet.
Amen.
Hey guys, thanks a lot. I wanted to quit about an hour and a half, and we're right on time. Thanks, Gib, for coming in. That was unexpected.
Yeah, fun.
Really, really awesome having you and talking to you again. So, so Fubar's saying great show. Thanks. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the bell to get your notifications to when we have other streams. Hopefully they won't be as technically challenged as this one. Thanks again, Kyle, and we'll catch you guys later. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Nice.
Gib, great to see you, pal.
Yeah.
Tommy, I'll talk
Good
to
to see you
you, buddy.
guys.
See you
Have a
later.
good one. Later.
Good seeing you, man. See you guys.